about the Fabians and their history and how that's the overriding key ideological component to understanding what's going on with the Great Reset and the emerging global order of technocrats. And I want to play this clip, which is really just all these people in their own words saying all the things that you've heard me covering the same elite structure saying 100 years ago. So we're going to see that what they're saying today is exactly identical to what all these clowns and goobers were saying 100 years ago. So let's go to that clip, and I'm going to comment over it as we watch this, and you'll be able to hear what they're saying from their own mouths. You'll own nothing and be happy.
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
At this pivotal moment, I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero.
Disruption is an opportunity for us to reset.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
A golden opportunity to build something better. He calls it the Great Reset.
For my part, through my Sustainable Markets Initiative and the Great Reset,
I want to achieve a great reset to rewrite Japan's blueprint.
You have finished right state during
Tom Hanks.
Reset.
William, we're about to see, or it's been announced that we're about to see a great reset.
I'm hopeful that we're going to have a great reset.
Next year's event titled The Great Reset.
The pandemic
Notice
presents an
it's
opportunity.
coordinated. They're all saying the same line.
Next year, vaccine policy is economic policy.
Vaccines are economic policy.
It is even a higher priority than the traditional
you won't be able
tools
to
of
have
fiscal
commerce
monetary
unless
policy.
you're got your stabbies.
Because without it, we cannot turn the fate of the world economy around.
So the economy collapsed, you wouldn't get your vaccine.
Public help, as far as I know, because you could have probably had access to billions of dollars, but you did it yourself. You did it alone, together with your partner, also BioNTech. Now, I just said that you made a major announcement, a groundbreaking announcement this morning. Can you tell us a little bit more?
First of all, thank you for the honor, Chairman, to be here with you. Today we announced that we will offer all our patent-protected medicines, all vaccines or medicines that currently exist in the US or in Europe, to the 45 poorest countries of the world. It is a population of 1.2 billion people.
State Department Memorandum 200.
And we also make the commitment that every year, as we discover and bring to the US or to Europe or to the world new medicines, automatically those new medicines will be inserted into
experimental gene therapy
into these countries. I think that is really a fulfillment of a dream that we had together with my leadership team when we started in 19. The first week we met in January of 19 in California and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And
we all know that
in 2019, so that's prior to COVID.
Insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete
cyber polygon, coming for your food,
supply,
control the energy, control the food. It's a controlled demolition.
As a whole, the COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
So get ready for that one. Now they can control our emotions if we just give in to the metaverse, putting on these stupid, getting brain chips, brain interfaces, all being pushed by World Economic Forum. They can cure our depression, they say, in this next video. AI will be connecting us to the global brain, the World Economic Forum says. It will read your thoughts, they're saying. You won't have to use a mouse. Brain chips will read your thoughts directly. Neurotech, nanotech is what they're talking about here. Remember, Klaus said, we will be inside you, we'll be inside your body, we'll change your DNA from within. That's what the video is discussing now. Again, these are all World Economic Forum clips and videos directly from them.
What humanity basically learned to produce was all kinds of stuff, like textiles and shoes and weapons and vehicles. And this was enough for very few countries that underwent the revolution fast enough to subjugate everybody else. What we're talking about now is like a second industrial revolution, but the product this time will not be textiles or machines or vehicles or even weapons. The product this time will be humans themselves. We're basically learning to produce bodies and minds. Bodies and minds.
So he's talking about cloning.
The two main products of the next
creating synthoid and
changes.
Fake people.
And if there is a gap between
I'm not joking, this is what he's saying.
To produce bodies and minds and those that do not, then this is far greater than anything we saw before in history. And this time, if you're not part of the revolution fast enough, then you probably become extinct. Once you know how to produce bodies and brains and minds, so cheap labor in Africa or South Asia or wherever, it simply counts for nothing. And again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. I don't think we have an economic
useless eaters. Remember, did you notice that?
My best guess, which is
terminology of David Attenborough.
Useless eater. What should we do with the useless eaters?
That kind of technology, you will be able to produce food to feed everybody. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they
he literally said we're gonna create people on an assembly line.
Is a combination of drugs and computer games.
AI people. By the way, he's the same guy that says that there's no such things as minds. They don't exist. Minds and free will don't exist. But we're going to create people and entities with minds, cloning.
In New York on September 11th.
A key difference with the CBDC is
here's a triple pin guy from BIS.
Absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that
he's just saying he's going to shut down all your monetary transactions if they want to. That dude looks like if Bitcoin does a 3x, that dude's chin did 100x.
What will our diets look like in 2030?
Tell me clips and audio messages from the global elite to all of us plebs, all the peons, and how they were saying openly the very same things they were saying they were going to do 100 years ago. So here we are 100 years later, 120 years later, and they're saying what they said they would do, and they're doing what they said they would do. And the Fabians set up back in the day their own Fabian International Bureau, and they had a 3-point platform. They made it very simple in their 3-point platform. They said the existing institutions in the world, in order to achieve general world peace, must all disarm. So all the nation states, disarmament needs to happen. This disarmament will only happen when there is an advanced form of global government. So global government will have to be in place to disarm everybody so that we can have peace. And the way that we get to the global government is by a lot of wars and by the strengthening of the United Nations. That's their 3-point platform that they stated even back in, I think, the 1960s is when they made this statement. Yeah, 1963 Fabian Society meeting. And so they said in order to have this, we would need a world army. Now, wait a minute. So world peace will be achieved through a world army and world wars. Yes, correct. There will be more wars. There will be more collapses, more. I mean, I don't know for certain when there's going to be another World War. It could happen now. We don't know. Or it might just come about through economic collapses. Who knows? But the point is that they're arguing that nobody should have arms, and nobody should have guns, nobody should have armies except for the global elite. I mean, who can't see this as a scam, right? And they even say we're going to have to use a lot of psychological warfare over a long, protracted amount of time to bring this about. That's exactly where we are now. They were saying in the 1960s they would use heavy psychological warfare, even to the point of a fake right-wing party, Ratio notes on page 101, to eventually bring about this new age, the new aeon, the Great Reset, the New World Order. Here are some of the societies that were set up that you should take note of. I might have mentioned this the last time I was on, I don't remember, but remember this because this gives you an idea that of what we're talking about, how influential this group was. The Royal Institute for International Affairs, the League of Nations, the United Nations, International Labor, the Court of International Justice, or the World Court, the League for Industrial Democracy, the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, the British Commonwealth, Christian Socialist League, the Federal Union, the Fabian International Bureau, which is who I just mentioned had a 3-point platform, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the World Council of Churches, NATO, the Aspen Institute, the Socialist International, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the One World Trust, the European Union. Have you heard of any of these? I mean, does this sound familiar? Do you think this is does this sound like a group that maybe has some influence and power, or is this all just far-flung conspiracy theories? Or, I mean, what do you think about this? Doesn't it seem odd to you that these people were saying 100 years ago they would bring about a situation where there'd be a circular economy and you would own nothing? The next point that the Fabians stressed so heavily was that we got to get rid of politicians, because politicians are one of the key issues that stand in the way of management by experts. Who else believes in management by experts? Technocrats. That's a key platform of technocracy, is to install government by expert. The Fabian institution, known as the London School of Economics, really pioneered and pushed this notion of management by experts. I've got a bit of a cold today, so I apologize if I have to cough and clear my throat. And no, it's not the COVID. I don't have the COVID. I just have a normal cold. That does still exist. I don't know if people know this, but like there's still such a thing as the cold in these, are the classics, right? The classics of sickness and illness. Not everything is COVID, but people still, I talk to people, in the streets, family members, and everything is COVID now. There's no other illnesses but COVID. Well, I'm pretty sure I just have a cold. But, maybe I got the AIDS. I don't know. But the Fabian said that we got to have management by experts, get rid of politics, get rid of voting, all of that stuff. And so I think a lot of what's going on today, as we've said before, as the lockstep document talks about, is actually geared towards weakening everyone's faith in the institutions that exist, right? Including voting, including democracy. I'm not saying that they're, those things don't have problems, but they definitely want to weaken everybody's belief in the existing institutions, not to help anybody. And they highlight the actual problems that do exist, that's only to push their solutions that are prepackaged. Remember, that was in the lockstep document. Everybody will clamor and cry out, the corrupt officials of the CDC, right? That's in the SPARS document, right? Oh, we have the solution for you. Global government by AI, government by computer.